manifest, whether it is a motor act or a cognitive act or whatever it is. And that adjustment of how to manipulate that unconscious thing is what is free will. That's my impression. And that there is an element of destiny is what I meant when I said when the karma part of it came into the picture. So I think it's a balance of all three, that there is a considerable amount of predeterminism, there is a considerable amount of manipulation of that predetermined material that we are able to do because of our within quotes awareness or consciousness or whatever you want to call it. And there is something we don't understand, why these things happen, which is the karma element. So is it God's wish, or is it your past life, this thing, or because there was like a religious person defined karma as only completing incomplete tasks of your previous birth. That is how he put it. So is it a question of just a progressive thing that we are finishing off in this life? These are the questions that this raises, and this is the kind of broad view I would take. And about your gods and goddesses, about Hinduism having lot of gods. This is a question that most of us get asked all the time, as to why you have so many gods and goddesses. And I thought this was a very nice way of looking at it.
I would like to ask Vasu, what you wanted from this neurology and free will, philosophy and free will, what is the content that you wanted from this?
No, I can't say that I really wanted anything. I only wanted this discussion.
Yeah. My question is, do we really have free will or conditioned response?
No, that is precisely what is being discussed, isn't it?
Yeah.
There
We
is
really
free
have
will which you are responding.
Yeah, I understand, but the conditioned response is what we have been doing it. From the time we are born till now, all our thoughts, actions have been programmed by society.
That's what I said.
That
By
is
birth, by environment, also be predetermined.
There's no coincidence.
As Madam said, that is, all the three elements are there. Now, concretely speaking, without the free will, we cannot be consenting to this meeting or doing it. As is predetermined, as Dr. Natarajan says, we have been here because of the predeterminism. The free will is to participate and do the things. Even you can say another perspective, that's only as a determined. Okay, whatever is said and done, for our practicing in a concrete way, unless the free will, we cannot have the consent to come for treatment or to change their behavior. And there is no free will. The patient cannot be, for our clients, we cannot force them to, we cannot make them behave in the desired way, as the conscience says, the value assigned conscience says, to behave in a line in a particular way in this society, or the treatment dictates. So the conscience, what we say, as he said, is assigned value by the community or the cultural learning what we have come, or the philosophy of the treatment or whatever that determines to say that you have to go on the line. We make them, the patients or the clients, to behave in such a way. If there is no element of free will in a concrete way, we cannot dictate and direct them to that treatment goal. So the free will is there. Without the free will, we cannot be, even it's predetermined that whatever it has been, there is no point of way in the whole life stream. But we have been on the stream because of the determined, and the same way we swim on our own way. We seek on our own way. In Indian philosophy, we have been asked each one to pursue their own way. Ishtadevada, is we choose. As like that free way, we go to reach our own conscience, our own level of spirituality, and reach the God on our own way. It's also a free will, and it may be determined by the God to seek that. It's all the free will is the integrated part of the predetermined way.
Sir, with regards to what you were saying, free will to undergo the treatment, to take this mode of treatment, that would probably apply where a situation arises where they can't make decisions on their own, or if they are under compulsions where we ask for free will. But otherwise, in other situations, what actions we do, decisions which we take, where does that come? Is it all predetermined, or it is not predetermined and we act on our own based on whatever we think is correct?
we have not addressed the issue, the prime issue. Free will for whom? See, this question, unless this is understood properly, this is going to cause confusion. Free will for the body. Myself means what? Free will for I am. If you take the free will into two factors, free will for whom, then the whole picture comes in a different way. I, once it starts, as Ramana Maharishi very clearly says, அவரவர் பிராப்தம் பிரகாரம் அதற்கு உரியம் அங்கிருந்து ஆட்டி வைப்பான். நடப்பது எத்தடை செய்யினும் நில்லாது, நடவாதது எந்த முயற்சிக்கும் நடவாது, இது தின்னம் ஆகவே மௌனமாயிரு அவங்க அம்மாக்கு எழுதுறாரு. Now, if it is for myself, that is within inverted commas for I am, there is no free will. Because I is universal consciousness which is existing in me, which has got no free will at all. Because it is actually the body which is controlling the universe. Leave that aside as I, the universal consciousness, out. Coming into a mundane operations of a physical body, that is where philosophers brought the karma. For the body, because the energy can neither be created nor be destroyed. This is a basic law in energy. Energy enters into our body, we become life. There is no free will in our birth. There is no free will in our death. There is absolutely free will and free choices in our entire life. That free choices really makes us struggle. For that the interpretation started in three different ways. They said all the births which you have had, they call Sanchita Karma. It's like total deposits in a bank. From that Sanchita Karma, you come with one particular deposit, you are removed, you come with a Prarabdha Karma. And that Prarabdha Karma comes into this world and you start doing the Agami Karma, which is a normal activity in our soul. Why I say that is, this is given only explanation in Bhagavad Gita. There is no other person who is dealing with the free will for the individual. In Bhagavad Gita, he says, a man will is for the body, not for the universal consciousness which is residing in our body. It is got absolutely. Now, this particular body is like akin to a cow that is tied to a tree in a land. The land is absolutely no free will. We have no choice whether we are going to get a good land or a bad land, or we are going to be born as a rich person or a poor person. There is no free will there, but the body, because he is going to have that body. That is the land. He has got completely a rope within that land to plow the land or not. That is his free will, which has been well described by different people. How I go, how I act, how I do things, how I do this. This becomes the Agami Karma in this particular word. The whole object of the human being, at least from the philosophical angle, is to realize who you are. Unless we want to not to realize and then be done with it, you are going to be in the field of energy all the time. Once you realize the energy that is causing the field, then everything comes to a standstill. There is no birth and there is no rebirth. So, for all our body, if you take, there is a free will up to a particular point, which has already been Madam has beautifully pointed out. But the free will doesn't operate in birth and death. And people have said that it is the choices that gives us the real trouble. Second, the mind operates only in the past and in the future. Human mind operates only in the past and in the future, never ever in the present. If only it's trained to act in the present, as you rightly pointed out, in that free will, that is within inverted commas of the universal consciousness, which Osho also says, if you act in that, every action is the right action for the world. Rarely people believe in this, because your action in this life itself, or your action is always predetermined by the future that you are going to take it. In which case you have to pay for all the prices that you are doing this. So, free will as a concept for an individual's body, it is different from free will and fate from the religious point of view, from the I that is residing in each one of us. I think I have decided to take it as a universal consciousness. There is no fate or free will or God. Same thing when you take the Vedas, 30,000 gods have been described, but in Jnana Kanda, there is not a single mention of a God in our Vedas. It is a pure, only method of inquiry. In the process of inquiry, there is no Brahma, there is no Vishnu, there is no Shiva, there are no gods at all. It is only absolute distilled wisdom of free will of your own exercising your thought and realizing the part that you are one with the universal consciousness. I think that is the part, and for that, I think the brain is needed. If you want to really understand who you are, to understand that you need the brain. But the brain is once again acted by the mind, and the mind is acted by the intellect, and intellect is acted by the awareness. That is one of the plausible explanations. The fellow who is absolutely doing only wrong things in life, he is enjoying the fruits of life from every corners of his life in this world. That means the past karma is definitely helping you to act through the awareness into this. And this is a play of the God within inverted comma, or the play of the body. So there is a very clear subtle distinction, whether it is right or wrong. To put it end in the last, Brahma has two wives. This is the story. I would like to end that with the story. The first wife, through them, the real good gods come, and through the second wife, the asuras come, which is nothing but the reflection of our own mind, which has got the godly qualities and the asuras qualities. And if you ever try to live in the present, every one of us, all our free will actions will be good.
One minute. I have a simple question. I have a simple question. Can you take away or modify or completely abolish the free will of a person or the free will of a person and society as a whole by any means, or by a drug or something like that?
By communist.
No. There was one story written by Sujata. I think Swargati or something like that. I am just wondering.
No, you can't.
Is it possible?
No, see, once again, the free will of the, suppose you may have 100 people. Free will for the body, anybody can do anything with you. Anything can with you. See, the science has now told us that if you are connected through the internet and in the next room, they can move my thumb. That is the rate in which the science has gone into now. They sit in the computer, they move your thumb in which area. Where is your free will?
But decisions.
No.
Decisions are the free will.
No, that's the next.
Not actions, not movements.
No.
They don't constitute free will.
Exactly.
It's mostly the choice. See, you should. What
Body.
free will is a decision which is taken,
Yeah.
where there are a number of choices. These two things are important for free will. One, the basis you should have choices, and which of those choices you take. That is where free will comes into play. Not actions.
What I am saying is, as long as it is for the body, then definitely you have the free will, and you have to suffer from the free will, whatever you have done it, either suffer or pleasure. But if it is for the free will,
See,
for the
again,
soul,
for the body is the consciousness or otherwise the existing, your mind decides.
Exactly. Exactly. The mind decides. So when the mind decides, we have not understood the mind. Science has not understood the mind, because mind is, if you once again go back, mind is a web of thoughts in which the first strand of thought is I exist, and from this I existence you come the flow of thoughts. In other words, mind is a web of thoughts in which the first strand of thought is I exist. This I we have not understood. We have not understood the thought. When we have not understood what is I, when we have not understood what is the complete thought mechanism, we are trying to come from the bottom-up approach. When you are not coming to the top-down approach, you will always have a problem in understanding the free will. So the free will, you have to understand it first who you are, and the second you must understand how the thought mechanism operates. If you do these two actions together and perfect it, you will become, otherwise சின்ன சொன்ன மாதிரி தன்னிலை உணர்ந்தால் எண்ணங்கள் இல்லை, எண்ணங்கள் இருந்தால் தன்னிலை உணர்தல் இல்லை. So exactly you have to understand the mind and thought. Once you have the mind and thought, you will have an answer automatically for your free will. Since we have not understood mind and thought, we are going to have this debate forever, because that is going to improve our knowledge also. Because you are going to see in always the beauty of our Indian culture is the differences. If you try to see the unity in diversity, is beautiful. If you see the diversity in unity also, is another form of color. So it's always beautiful. So action, once again coming back to what Ian said, the effect the man who does the action, and the action results in a result. Both the results and the action for the individual, it is going to be definitely not. I would strongly believe in no free will has got no proportion in the human existence. Just imagine the planet will go into non-existence along with the Milky Way when there is going to be a happening in the, because we are all going in one particular orbit. When that orbit is changed, all of us come into non-existence. Then the question comes, who am I? To say that I have the free will, I have the free will. There is no understanding of the I. That's how most of the philosophers, instead of going into the free will, started analyzing who I am. Because that is the basis on which the whole edifice of a religion came. And they all strongly believe that free will exists for the individuals like a cow, not to a particular man. I think we have some free will.
Final question, sir.
Yeah.
Now recently they will transplant the whole head.
Yeah.
What whose free will be? It will be the body's free will or mine?
Let them transplant the head first, then we will find out.
No. See, the whatever is said and done, once the neck is replaced by another neck, but still it is a body. See, the free will. See, one thing, we have all understood that your neurons and my neurons are in unison. There are experiments, scientific experiments for that. No, not mirror neurons is one such neurons. See, suppose I go and touch him. All the activities of the brain in his areas are also activated in you by mere just observing him. That means your neurons are in touch with his neurons. It's only the thought that separates us, that you are a male, I am a female, you are working there, I am working there. Once the field of thought comes, the whole differentiation starts. So, answering to your question, I think, once you have understood yourself who you are, I'm not going to the basics. Once you understand the basic of the mechanism of I and then the thought, I think on that day we have succeeded. That cannot be achieved by science. It has to be achieved by individual. That is the reason I still go back and say what Schrodinger says, being, becoming. Becoming is a process which you are trying to understand. Once you have attained being, there is no doubt in your mind. When there is no doubt, you will see the whole world in a different perspective. You start seeing in a different dimension, not under the drug.
See, it's not the body or the head which decides. You see, body has no role at all. Where does body have a role? It is the individual. See, what matters is the individual. Who is that individual? What governs him? By what principles is he governed? We have not given a label for that entity. That is what is probably the mind. That is what the mind which is influenced by the karma of that person. So obviously, if you happen to transplant a brain into him, it will have to be what he is rather than what the transplanted brain is. The transplanted brain would be only an instrument. That's why right from the beginning I have been saying, not that I have been saying, I have considered that the brain is a lower motor neuron. Whatever is governing the brain, the actions of the brain is the upper motor neuron, and that is different, whatever term you want to give it. Now the other interesting question is, when you clone, what happens? Are you going to clone, of course we have gone not for cloning of human beings as that, when we clone human beings, are they going to have the same characteristics of whatever they have been cloned from? Obviously that again is going to be difficult, it is not, it cannot. If we believe in our culture, it cannot. But I would certainly like to know the views of Yogaraj.
About what?
And is free will a myth or a reality?
I have no choice here.
You are the creators of the question.
No.
Is free will a myth or a reality?
I think I've already answered that question because it's both. The free will part of it, I think, is just an illusion that you think that you're in control of your action, but then there is a greater cause. Greater cause, if you believe in, genetics and Lamarckism, there's a greater cause which is making you do this action. And you are blinded as to the control of the cause. So, in total, like the Global Consciousness Project, in total what happens to the species is what matters. So that is what is my thinking, sir. I don't know, I may be wrong, I may be way off the mark. So I have
Sir, want to say anything? Fine. Your free will is over.
He used to tell some word for it. I'm not able to get it. I don't know. You come with it. Yeah, that's right. You come with an expiry date. That is right. But he used to call it something else.
I think we can, anything, yeah, we can discuss it over lunch, and I must thank everybody for this extremely wonderful meeting. It was beyond expectations, beyond brain, beyond expectations. But who would have thought that we would have a group of doctors discussing karma? That itself is, I think, something which expresses our free will. No, okay, fine. Okay, fine, that's good. So, so long as we keep that out of it, it's even better. So, thanks everybody for this very wonderful discussion. And if I think there are anything further to be discussed, we can discuss it over lunch. I thank Sanofi for helping us today, for sponsoring this meeting, and Mr. Muthukumar for arranging the video this thing today. Thanks everybody.